What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the new year. That is right. It is 2025, and we are kicking it off as we said we would here. Like we said last podcast, I've got the Patreon up. We're doing the YouTube thing. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Steve, coming in with...
I'm going to make you wait for a second. It's John.
The epic pause. Build the suspense.
Climactic late entrance.
Oh man, I hope everybody had a great New Year's. I didn't really do much. I had my kiddo, so we kind of chilled out at the house, did our own New Year's thing. He fell asleep at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. He was done. So, but and I mean, how was your guys' New Year?
The New Year's was fine. Made the bingo card and the vision board stuff, and all that good stuff. And then Ronnie has been sick the last like 6 days. She's finally just starting to feel better.
Yeah,
she's been like just kind of lazy, just around the house. Not really doing too much, just hanging out around the house. That's about it. Today was first day back to work, and let's see, I was off for the week of Christmas, and then I was off a couple days last week, so didn't really have much going on at work. Got to work today, and it was like slammed. There was like 11 things down because everybody got back from their 2-week break, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is broke." Yeah, that happens when you don't start nothing for 2 weeks.
Was it a point of it was broke over vacation, or one of those things where like, you know what, new year, new me, we're going to say that this is broke instead of me just winging it?
No, so it was one of those things where all this shit broke the week of their start of their 2-week vacation, but they didn't want to get like shut down early. So they were like, we're just going to run. One guy said, he was like, the front of my lift is falling off. I was like, well, that doesn't seem possible since you're still driving it. He was like, no, it is. Look. And they came over, and like forklifts have this guard on the front so nothing can fall on top of them.
Yeah.
It's the backrest.
Yeah.
There was one bolt loose, so it shook a little bit. He's like, it's falling off. I'm like, do you have a wrench in your pocket or on your forklift? You just tighten the shit back down. And he's like, no, I figured I'd let you do it. Like, so you knew this shit was fucked up before, and now you just, you want to come get it fixed. And we took away like 4 of their forklifts and gave them 2 new ones because they rent them. So it's like a lease thing.
Yeah.
And I took 4 away, and 3 of them just happened to be like my biggest problem people. So they had to get on different lifts that weren't their lifts every day. They were pissed. I was getting fucking looked at, fucking mean mugged all day because people were mad about it. I'm like, hey, look, talk to Ford, okay? I didn't take the shit away.
They'd probably shit themselves if they had the lifts that we use.
Probably. All theirs are nice, cushy, full suspension seats. I mean, they got it.
Not even close.
The worst. I mean, they just spent like, they just had me quote out like 19 seats, $1,400 per seat plus $200 to install them. So it was like about 20 grand in seats.
Oh my God.
That they use, because they were like, oh, we can't use the seats. I get off work on Friday and my back's so jacked up I can't even get out of bed till Sunday. And in my head, I'm like, it could be because you're fucking 80. That could be it. Or maybe instead of sitting on the lift the entire 8-hour shift, when you only work 2 hours of the shift, how about you get off, walk around, maybe take the trash off of it, do some laps. Fuck, don't sit stagnant for 8 goddamn hours.
Dude, I'm that way. Like when I spend more than probably an hour in the tractor at work moving trailers around, done. I'm like, I gotta get out, and I like get out of the tractor all stiff like I'm an old man, and I'm like, I gotta walk. I gotta walk around the parking lot.
I made a joke a couple weeks ago because I had to lay on the ground for like what it felt like. Sorry, I didn't mean to yawn. I need to get a new mic for the mute button. Need to get one of the foot pedal mics like Steve's talking about.
Dude, honestly, if you weren't like, so when this stuff happens, John and I normally cover each other. Like, he kind of stopped mid-sentence. I was be like, I seen you do it. And I'm like, dude, you stop mid sentence. I don't want to like cut you off and people actually be paying attention to you. And be like, why the fuck did Steve do that? He's an asshole.
Yeah, Steve is an asshole, but
I mean, I am, but
so all jokes aside, my old lady decided she was going to start drinking tea, so she started buying this chamomile stuff, and I drank some of it like an hour ago.
oh, dude, chamomile will fuck you up. That's why your eyes are glossy.
Yeah, I'm ready for bed.
Fucking chamomile cut your ass.
So, but this episode we're going to do the true crime segment. It's going to take 15 20 minutes. It's somebody that's pretty interesting once you look into him. I'm only going to cover like his biggest noticeable crime, but this guy did a fuckload of stuff. So if you want to hear more about it, leave a comment and I'll give you some more of his stuff.
Leave a comment. We'll do a Patreon episode on it.
Okay. Well, that's going to be that could be like an hour and a half to 2 hours long because it could easily be 2 parts. This dude was a fucking monster.
The way our Patreon's set up, I gotta finish actually now that we know what the pricing on stuff is. It'll be like $5 for a month subscription. With that month, as of right this moment, John and I are planning on doing a Patreon episode every other week. So it'd be
2 a week.
Yeah. So it'd be
2 a month. 2 a month.
Yeah, 2 a month. And with that, obviously, as John just said, it'd probably be an hour and a half, 2 hour podcast. Like you would get that. So it's not like we're having
break it down. It's like $2.50 an episode. And before anybody thinks like, oh, they're just doing this so they can make money off of it. 1, you're correct. We would like to be paid for our time. 2, probably the first $600 will be reinvested into new mics, the sound dampening stuff like the matting.
John says 600. I'm up higher. Because like
600 is where you can play tax evasion. After 600, you got to report it to Uncle Sam. Did you not know that?
Send us comments and we will send you send us your email and we will send you our addresses so we can do this in cash. Okay? We don't have to claim it.
I'm not giving people my address.
I'll give you a fucking P.O. box.
Hit me up on Zelle. I'll give you the code.
No, because you get so far into that, you still gotta claim it. I'll give you my P.O. box, okay? I'm gonna send that to my P.O. box.
Yeah, after $600, you have to pay taxes.
All right. Well, either way, if we get to that point, always like John said, the money's gonna be reinvested into this because obviously we listen back to our own episodes. We hear the echoes, we hear me sounding like I'm in 4 different rooms, so we get it. Like it's gonna be reinvested, and it's high. You're not gonna see us in like fucking Dubai or anything like that. You might see us in some mountain areas somewhere, but we're not gonna be in Dubai.
We're all about to be in mountain areas if this shit keeps going on. Have you
Yeah,
I'm not lately?
I'm not trying to fucking go to Dubai. I'm good on all that. I'd sooner go to the mountains, and I'm
My
good.
little Mexican buddy went to Dubai. He said it was awesome. He didn't have to pay for it though.
I bet he didn't have to pay for it.
He paid for his work, paid for everything. He won a trip through his work. He said it was awesome.
I'm surprised he came back.
Me too.
I'm not even gonna lie.
There's a lot of stuff you can go to prison for in Dubai, and he does all of it.
Oh yeah, I forget about these things. Like I mean, I know they're strict. I know they're strict as shit, but I forget. I forget. McNugget over there does some shit.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, how is your New Year's resolution for the soda going?
It was good. Clean up till Friday.
What about now?
I had 1 Mountain Dew today with my Chinese food. That was it. Okay. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. I'm like I said, Friday to Sunday I slept because I was working on that fucking car. But I got it back. I got the water, so we're going into the water. I'm getting a home workout plan set up for myself so I can do home workouts. Doing things. Doing things.
Cutting his hair. Here we go. We're gonna cover Hamilton Howard Fish, which everybody knows him by Albert Fish. All right, like I said, this is gonna take like 15-20 minutes, and then we'll do some of our normal banter. But so everybody knew him by Albert Fish. He was a serial killer that was born May 19th, 1870. He was born in D.C., actually. That makes a lot of sense, assholes. Died January 16th, 1936 at Sing Sing Correctional Facility. So as you can already tell, he did get caught. Or else I probably wouldn't be doing this episode on him.
Dude, there's a lot of motherfuckers that died in Sing Sing. Sing Sing was a poppin' prison back in the day.
I want to do one on Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Tennessee. You can do ghost tours there now. Anyway, not important. So what he was known as was a serial killer, rapist, child molester, cannibal, and sadist. I mean, he was a monster. Well, just hang on there, Steve. Stop giving me weird looks. That people would see him and they thought they call him the Gray Man, the werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn vampire, because he literally was like over 6 feet, under 150 pounds. He was like super thin, and he stayed inside 90% of the time. Or he did odd jobs. He was a painter. He did random like home repairs and stuff. So he wasn't outside a lot. So he was super pale. And
so like modern day Slender Man?
Kind of, except for you could say that. I bet that would have worked. They think he admitted to doing like upwards of like 20 murders, but they know about at least 10 of them. We're going to talk about his worst one. Well, what people say was his worst one. I think all of them were pretty fucked up because he had a remember this was like early 1900s. So he would go after mentally challenged black kids. He would grab them up because nobody was going to believe him. And, shit was different, obviously. But if you want to know, he was electrocuted, and that's how he died. His crimes were from like 1924 to like 1932. So he was doing pretty good. But the worst one he did, claiming the worst one he did, was one called, her name was Grace Budd. And on May 25th, 1928, he saw a classified advertisement in a Sunday edition of the New York World that said, young men 18 wishes position in country. The father, his name was Edward Budd. They lived at 406 West 15th Street in New York. Why are you looking at me like that? It's very detailed. I was very detailed with this. So, on May 28th, Albert Fish, he was then 58 years old, visited the Budd home in Manhattan under the pretenses of hiring the dad to do some. Actually, technically, Edward Budd was the son, and he was looking for work, but the father's name was also Edward too. So we'll call him Junior because, eventually he was the original target, but he got away. He wanted to hire him to do some extra work because Fish was a painter, so he needed laborers and stuff like that. But his plan, which he later admitted to the news and to the family, because you'll find out that this dude not only did some heinous shit to the family, but would send them letters through and put ads in the newspaper bragging about what he did because he knew the family checked the paper every day. The dude was a savage, not in a good way. His plan was to hire Edward, tie him up, mutilate him, and eat certain parts of his body. Which is pretty fucked up when you think about it. And then he was just going to leave him to bleed out. So he introduced himself to the family as Frank Howard, a farmer from New York. He promised to hire the son. Why are we looking at me like that, Steve? He promised to hire the son and his friend and said he would send for them in a few days. Fish failed to show up, but he sent a telegram to the family apologizing and set a later date. When he returned, he met Edward's younger sister. She was 10 at the time, Grace Budd. He apparently shifted his intentions from Grace and quickly decided that he was going to take the little girl and not the boy, which is fucked on so many levels, because at least the 18-year-old son had a chance of maybe fighting him off. The little girl, you'll find out, was nowhere near equipped to try to fight off a grown man. She was only 10 years old. She was lightweight. He pretty much just did whatever he wanted. You'll hear about that, which not great. So Fish ended up taking Grace. He took her to an abandoned house that he had previously picked out to use for his murder of his next victim, and a Wisteria cottage. It was at 359 Mountain Road. It was in Irvington, New York. Unfortunately, once he got her there, he manually strangled this little girl to death. Then he decapitated her, dismembered her, and ate most of her body. I told you it's fucked up. And then over the next several days, he hid parts of her body around the cottage. They had those weird Irish half-built stone walls around it. They found pieces of her bones and stuff tucked under the wall, stuffed into the wall. It was pretty fucked up. The cops couldn't figure out who was doing it, so they were just arresting all the old people that they could find that fit a description that the parents gave. They ended up arresting a 66-year-old superintendent, Charles Pope, in 1930 as a suspect in Grace's disappearance, accused by Pope's estranged wife. Pope spent 108 days in jail between his arrest and trial. On December 22nd, 1930, he was found not guilty. Now, this is where it gets fucked up because, like I said, this dude toying with the family because he was an asshole. In November 1934, an anonymous letter was sent to Grace's parents and which ultimately led the police to Fish. But Bud's mother was illiterate and could not read the letter herself, so she had to make her son read it, which is way worse. The unaltered letter, this is a direct clip from the letter. It was from the news. It said, "My dear Mrs. Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Captain John Davies. They sailed from San Francisco to Hong Kong, China. On arrival there, he and two others went ashore and got drunk. When they returned to the boat, it was gone. At that time, there was a famine in China. Meat of any kind was sold for $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all the children under 12 were sold as food." Yeah, I'm gonna let that sit for a second. They were selling little kids in China as food that were under 12 for only $1 to $3 a pound. That's a steal. You shouldn't eat little kids. Anyway, so the suffering was so bad in China that all the children under 12 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or a girl under 14 was not safe in the streets. You could go into a shop and ask for steak, chops, or stew meat. Part of a naked body of a boy or a girl would be brought out, and you just cut what you wanted from it, and then you paid by the pound. This apparently happened in China, but this is a story that was sent to Grace Budd's parents by Albert Fish. There was so long he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole two boys, 1 7 and 1 11. I wonder if he did. That's a weird number to be stealing people. He took them into his home, stripped them naked, tied them up in a closet, and burned everything they had. Several times every day and night, he would spank them, torture them, and to make the meat good and tender. Oh, I see Steve's getting a little uneasy. I should have told you guys there's trigger warnings. All right, we're eating little kids. Not us, but this guy. First, he killed the
Definitely not us.
11-year-old boy.
Okay, we are not eating little kids.
No. First, he killed and ate the little boy because he had, quote, the fattest ass. And of course, the most meat on it. Every part of the body was cooked and eaten except for the head, bones, and guts. He was roasted in an oven, boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. The little boy was next, went the same way. And at that time, I was living at 409 East 100 near the right side. He told me so often how flesh from a human was such a great food. I made up my mind I wanted to taste it. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called you at your residence, brought you a cheese pot and strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat in my lap and kissed me. Speaking of which, if a strange man shows up to hire your son, don't let your 10-year-old daughter sit on this creepy fuck's lap because he brought you a cheese pot. Go ahead, Steve. What you got?
Look, one, you show up at my front door to hire anybody. You ain't coming in my fucking house. You're gonna stand on the fucking front porch until I find whoever you're looking for. If they're not here, guess who's not staying here? You creepy man. Get the fuck out of here.
You gotta go. On the pretense of taking her, because he told the parents that he was like, my niece is having a birthday party, and even was so sick that he brought a gift for the little girl to give to his niece. So the mom and dad thought that this creepy fuck was going to take their 10-year-old daughter to his niece's birthday party. Fucked. On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said, yes, she can go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester I'd already picked out. This is a letter that he sent the mother that the son is reading to the family. Remember that. When we got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers. I went upstairs, stripped off all my clothes. I knew if I did not, I would get blood on them. When all was ready, I went to the window and called her in. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her and said she said she would tell her mama. First, I stripped her naked. How she did kick, bite, and scratch. I choked her to death and then cut her into small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook, and eat it. How sweet and tender her little ass was roasted in a pan. This is a letter he sent to her parents. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. It is very important that you know I did not sexually assault your daughter, even though I wish I could have. She died a virgin. Police investigated the letter, and although the stories concerning Captain Davies and the famine in Hong Kong could not be verified, so I figured that was a fucking lie, the part of the letter concerning Grace was found to be accurate in description of the kidnapping and subsequent events. Thought it was impossible to confirm whether Fish had actually eaten parts of Grace's body. So, now, he was a broke bitch, right? He didn't have any money. He had a son that worked for the Corps of Engineers, the CCC. He was in North Carolina, and he was helping build parks and stuff like that and roadways. Well, because the dad didn't work very much, he was just a painter and obviously a piece of shit. The son would send him money. And his mistake was that the same place that because he sent the family multiple letters, not just one, like multiple letters. They didn't know who killed this little girl for a long time. So you got to remember, it was like 1928. It was way back in the day. They ended up catching this guy because he slipped in one of the letters, and he kind of said that he was what area he was in. So they waited around post offices and stuff with the description of what he looked like. They went and told the postal people. And one day his son had sent him a check. It was not a lot. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was like a lot back then. and it was the only way the dad could live. So he got busted when he went to pick up the check, and they hauled his ass away. Now, this is the weird part. This man had a lot of his own kids. Like, he was an actual father. Somebody had sex with this creepy bastard, and they had kids, and his kids swore that he would never do this, that he was a great man, a great father. That he never did any of this to them. But as they would get his kids talking, they would find out that on random full moon nights when he was home, that they would walk out into the living room or the common areas. That's what they call them, common areas. But that he would walk out there, and his dad would be laying in the floor with like small hammers, driving pins into his pelvis, like hammering pins into his fucking pelvic area, and rolling on the floor, rolling himself up and stuff. And then, which should have been weird, but no, it should have been fucking weird. The dad would get butt ass naked and have the kids beat him. The kids should have said something. It's you fuck them kids, all right? But they definitely should have said something. They should have told a neighbor. Okay, that's your dad should not be naked. You should not be beating your father while he's rolling around on a fucking carpet. You weird bastards.
Whack a worm,
Bro. When I read that, I was like, you got to be shitting me. But anyway, so they eventually catch this creepy fuck, and he starts telling them about all the mentally disturbed younger children that he's taken. He's taken some older children. He tells them where he took them all. So they verify some of it. They find bones. This is how they get to for sure 10, but they suspect that he took, I think it was 23, they said, but they verified 10. So of course they throw his ass in the jail, prison. But because of those pins that he had hammered into his hips and needles that he had stuck in his body, they had gotten so deep into his body that they would rust and get infected, and they couldn't do surgery to get him out of his pelvis. And that, I think at some point they were probably like, hey, we're about to fry this motherfucker. We don't really need to do surgery on him to get these pins out. Let's just cook his ass with more metal, the better. That's what I guess they were thinking. So they did that. And eventually he was electrocuted, which I told you already. But what's interesting is that he messed up by going after one of these underprivileged kids that he thought that he could get away with. The little kid actually got away. Somebody seen him get taken into this like cobblestone shack. And then a couple hours later, they seen Fish leave. So they went to look, and they seen like a beaten, naked child laying in there that he had molested. He wasn't going to kill him. He was just molesting kids at this point. I guess he waited until the steamboat captain was like, hey, we should eat kids. And then he ate some kids. But the fucked up thing is he swore up until he was electrocuted, he wrote notes to various people. Obviously, the notes were never delivered because the police were reading them and they were like, hey, something's fucked up. We need to look into this. He blamed his son for him being caught, because if he wouldn't have had to go get the check, he wouldn't have got caught. But he kept telling the police, I'm not the only one. I couldn't have done all the ones you're accusing me of by myself. I'm not the only one. We're a team. And the messed up part is that some of the people that he was taking, he was obviously very noticeable. Tall, slender, creepy, old looking, gray. There was a woman and then a younger guy that was supposedly helping him lure teenagers and younger children away from their homes. They would take them from like playgrounds and stuff and lead them off into the woods, and then he would scoop them up and take them off from there. There's a lot of people that were never found that he claims that he took. They also never found the woman or the teenager that was helping them. So that was 1930. So that was like 90 years ago. Hopefully those fucks are dead too. Evil never really dies unless you electrocute it or shoot it, though. So But that is a quick synopsis on that twisted fuck Albert Fish. What do you think, Steve?
We gonna publish this episode. We gonna say goodbye to all of our fucking viewers. that was one hell of one to start out with. Like that was, dude. I need sunshine and daisies after that. Like Jesus.
The messed up part is there's another letter that he sent, and when they found him, they found like parts of bones and shit in his crock pots and shit, or whatever they were back in the day. Stew pots is what he called them. I left some of that out because I didn't know exactly how far we wanted to get into it.
That was damn. Like so, there. If you guys want more,
because he definitely did a lot worse stuff to that Grace girl. He swears that he didn't molest her, but like he was a sexual sadist, so
yeah.
He wasn't molesting his kids, they claim. Maybe he wasn't, but he was raping a bunch of children, and he was killing people. I mean,
yeah, like that. That's
his kids swore all the way up through his trial that, like his daughters and stuff, that he never did that to them. They said the only thing that they ever thought was weird was when they would see him hammering pins, like sewing pins and stuff, into his waist. And they thought it was a little weird now that they were older that they had to beat their father while he was naked. They apparently were fully clothed.
I mean, the pins may have been like a punishment type thing for maybe getting a bad thought towards one of his kids. Maybe.
I don't know.
Like, either way, that man is fucked. God damn.
He like I said, I didn't know like exactly how far you wanted me to go. This is one of like when I've listened to stories about him, it's usually 2 or 3 episodes. Because I could tell you facts about what he did to like almost all the victims that he admitted to, because he liked it. Once he got caught, he wanted the world to know what he did to him. Like he swore that he wasn't the only one. He said, we're a team, we're a network. And if you were part of that network, fuck you. But he, I could go a lot.
How the fuck would you even get into that network? Like, how would you bring that up casually in conversation?
The elites do it all the time. They just don't get caught.
I mean, it puts a whole new meaning to damn, that ass looks delicious.
Easy, buddy. They were kids' asses.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it puts a whole new...
Bro, I'm telling you, if you want, I can send you some of the other notes that I have written down. Because like I said, I had like 2.5 pages or so. I read through like a page and a half, and I could see like some of the faces you were making. It gets a lot worse.
No, I'm good with it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, it reminds me that like these kinds of people exist, and I'm just like,
oh, for sure. There's the next one I'm doing. That one, this dude was just the next one. The dude was just like a murderer, so I can go like a full fucking hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes on him, whatever we want to do. But he was just stacking bodies in national parks and burying them on his ranch in Arizona. And the only reason he got caught is because some cops showed up over a stolen U-Haul truck that he had parked in his front yard.
Yeah.
It was technically parked on the side of the house. But they were there because they were like, hey, this truck's fucking stolen. We know it's stolen. But why do you have an extension cord running in there with a deep freezer? And that's how they were like, you know what, maybe we should look around your property. And they did. They ended up finding like close to, I think, like 37 people.
Jesus.
I mean, he was picking national parks. I mean, park predators are fucking real. But with that, obviously, I need to know like what everybody's comfort level is, because some of the stuff that I could tell you about these people that I've researched and stuff could make certain people uncomfortable. Some of it makes me uncomfortable.
Needless to say, this is why John stays strapped all the time.
I carry 2 guns.
So if you come around John and you're not on the friendly side, stay strapped or get clapped.
Yeah, it's a fucking. I ain't gonna Albert fish you, but we'll see what old Gaston Glock can do to your chest.
Me, on the other hand, I'm the soup maker.
The soup Nazi from Seinfeld. But
saying like John, he's got the true crime stuff. I'm doing the gang stuff. The next episode we do is going to be on the Hidden Valley Kings, and they're a gang. I believe they're not as prevalent, but they're still located down in that area. They still do stuff. Charlotte, North Carolina. So they're actually really cool. I remember watching them years ago when I was I'm still in the gangs, but like when Gangland was real prevalent, you could watch Gangland like on any fucking thing. So I was like, all right, yeah, and I got into that, and that's where I seen them, and I'm like, their whole story, like the way the cops explain stuff and they break it down, and I'm like, violence is not always the answer, people. Murder is not always the answer. Let me rephrase that. Murder is not always the answer.
you said these people were out of North Carolina?
Yeah, Charlotte, just north of the city, like northeast of the city. It, dude, like when I go through it, like this gang, like, I always remember this gang all the fucking time of everything, like this gang, because if they wouldn't have fucking shot people, the cops admitted if they were like, yeah, if they wouldn't have shot people, we would have never known they were there. He was like, we would have never assumed they were who they were. He was like, and I'm just like, you fucking idiots. Like,
was it a drug syndicate where they was?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they sold drugs. Like you would pull into their project that they had, but it was like a suburb project, so to speak, like low income housing neighborhood. Like you would pull in there, and depending on what you wanted is where you went. Like that street is where you went down through the neighborhood, and then you just circle back out. So like they kept it there. They brought money into the neighborhood. They had corner stores in the neighborhood. Like everything they needed was in the neighborhood. So like money stayed in the neighborhood. But no, they had to shoot people. And boom. And it wasn't even people like gang related shit is what did it. When I go through the episode, like I'll go over all of it, but I'm just like, why? But the other one I'm looking at too is the Cornbread Mafia.
Hold on. Would they happen to be the gang that went after like a retired army sergeant?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's how that gang got found out too. They didn't. There's another gang. Maybe you can look this one up too. They went after this like Green Beret guy when he got back, and they were threatening him and trying to run him out of the neighborhood. He was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm not leaving. I was here before you, and I was overseas doing stuff." So they would ride by his house and like bust his windows, and they were dumb enough to tell him that they were going to come a specific day to kill him and shoot his house up. And he ended up getting I think it was 5 or 6 of his Green Beret buddies to come to the house, and they were having a barbecue. But he told them to bring weaponry, right?
Yeah, they were having a barbecue, all right. Okay, barbecue some bitches.
So when these people, these idiots actually showed up and they started fucking having a gunfight, but obviously their 10 did not match the 6 Green Berets, and I think only 1 or 2 of them got out. Shit went down, and that's when the cops were like, wait a minute, I think these are the people we've been looking for. They're all dead in your front yard, but where are the 2 that got away? And everybody's like, oh, they were shot. I don't know where they're at, but we shot them. They just happened to make it off the property. Shit was wild.
All right, yeah, I am going to look into that. But
I thought that was the story you were about to tell. I was about to be super pumped.
Yeah, no, dude. Now I am gonna look into that. But like the other one is it's the Cornbread Mafia, and that one, dude, I saw I listened to a podcast called the Underworld Podcast, hosted by Danny Gold and Sean Williams, and like they cover obscure gangs, so to speak. Like some of them you hear of, but like they do the gangs that you don't really hear of, and like they covered Johnny Boone, who was one of the bigger guys up in the Cornbread Mafia, and like it piqued my attention. So I bought the book. I've listened to I'm almost done with the book, and it's piqued my like, dude. Like say it's a quick synopsis of it. Pretty much, they were responsible for, I think it was three quarters of the marijuana that was in the U.S. from like mid 70s to like mid 80s, I think. Is the timeline? Huh? Kentucky. Kentucky.
Was part of that see if you can find out if they were part of the trade route through Florida.
I know one of them would get stuff from, I believe, Florida and bring it up through, or Georgia and bring it up through. I believe, but like other than that, dude, they supplied pot. And like when they started doing numbers and they talk numbers, I'm just like, I'm talking tons upon tons of fucking pot and millions of fucking dollars, and I'm just like,
Jesus,
the fuck, what the fuck, man. Like
that was back before, like obviously way back before all that shit was legal, because it's just now becoming legal. But
dude, this guy had a seed guy that would travel the world and collect cannabis seeds, and he'd bring them back to Johnny Boone to fucking grow. They had a strain of Russian weed, no seeds, no male plants, like that withstood the fucking, where did they have it at? Wisconsin or Minnesota. Like a snowstorm came through. The fucking weed withstood the snowstorm. The corn did not, that the weed was growing in. But the fucking weed did. Like, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? They're interesting as shit. That's another cool one to go. Like, I've got gangs for fucking days. Same with gangsters. I can do gangster. I hate gangsters. They're fun too. They're basically organized murderers, or what the fuck they are.
yeah,
there's a plan to them. Like obviously, the one thing I probably won't touch on, simply because they're still active and can touch anybody at any point in time. Probably the Mexicans guys. They're I might cover like the older guys, like shit. I can't even think of the name of it, but either way, like the older guys, I might cover them, but like the new age guys, I'm not gonna touch them. No, negative. The same with the modern day gangs that are everywhere, like the Chicago guys. No. No, I'm good. Like you guys beef over the drop of a hat. I'm quite all right for getting information wrong, and no, it's not about it.
Obviously, we want to hear if you guys. We're gonna do a few of these. We want to know what you guys think of them. Also, I'll need to know. I mean, I'm sure we both need to know some of your comfort levels for hearing some of the true crime stuff and some of the gangster type stuff, because some of the stories that I've marked out to research, they're pretty fucked up.
And I mean, obviously we know this podcast is called No Safe Space, but at the same point in time, like,
we want you to listen.
Yeah, we want you to listen. We don't want you to be like, oh fuck, they posted another episode. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, we want you to listen. So obviously give us that feedback. While you're giving us said feedback, make sure you share us. Like if you need to, take your parents' phone, take your spouse's phone, whatever, download Spotify, like our shit. Okay. Just hit the follow button. They ain't gotta listen to it, whatever. Or you know what? If you got access to Alexa in the house, bam. Throw that shit on Alexa and let it ride.
Unless you have small children, Viewer discretion is advised. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah. Do not let small children listen to us. Like, obviously, I have a 5-year-old kid. He does not see this side of daddy. So, speaking of that, dude, I asked him about doing a YouTube channel. He is fucking pumped, dude.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, we're gonna do it. Him and I are gonna probably record a video like tomorrow just to introduce ourselves and whatnot. And then I'm gonna work on it Wednesday. And then Thursday we're going to the farm show. So that's gonna be our first like.
What are you gonna do it on?
Probably YouTube. On my phone for now.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it'd be on my phone for now. So we'll have to get on that. So if anybody uses DaVinci Resolve, please shoot us a fucking email, comment, something. I need some tips. I mean, I'm gonna watch my YouTube videos, but it's free video editing software, and I'm running with it, dude. Like they say, the pros use it. We'll find out.
I've looked into getting the Apple one, but it's like $300 one time. Let me know if the DaVinci stuff doesn't work. Maybe we can just go with that, because some of the Patreon stuff we're gonna have to edit, and then not because of what we're gonna say on Patreon, but we may have to clip. We're gonna clip some of it for the YouTube and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting until the 19th to see if they get rid of TikTok. If they don't, then we'll start clipping it, putting it on TikTok too.
It's gonna be called UTalk.
We're not doing one of those lemonade accounts. I've looked into it. It's too fucking confused. It's basically Pinterest, so I don't think the people that listen to us are fucking on there. They could be. I don't know. But with that being said, everybody, we're coming up to the end of the episode.
Yes.
Yes. Probably don't need the football scores if you got them.
I don't have them. I do not.
Give you the important ones. The Lions won.
Lost.
Huh?
The Steelers lost. Ravens won.
The Lions won. I don't know how the Commanders won.
They are not the Commanders.
Go ahead.
Fucking Redskins. You politically correct fuck.
And then the most important, the Panthers beat Atlanta, so I was pretty pumped about that. We are now like 9-8, I think.
Did you guys know the Jaguars? That's right. The Jaguars fired their head coach.
I think they're trying to like secretly do what the Lions. A lot of teams.
I think the Patriots fired their head coach too.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping the Panthers are gonna stop giving away some of their trades and do a little better with the team management, because they could do what they need to do. They just gotta get their shit together. But with that being said, everybody, this will be the end of the episode. Steve's gonna hit you with the sign off.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna hit you real good. Anyhow, y'all have a great, fantastic week. We'll see you next Monday. As always, hit that share button, that like button, that follow. Do the whole 9. Yeah, we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.
Later, everybody.